This isn't gonna end well for you, Blake. Sorry.
Justin Baldoni just annihilated Blake Lively and her pathetic web of lies in court, completely dismantled, no room for escape. Even Ryan Reynolds, her so-called perfect husband, didn't even try to step in and defend her.
Both of you are raging narcissists.
And let's be real, he knows exactly why. Blake isn't just embarrassing herself, she's dragging him down with her. Now, she's not just facing humiliation, she's watching her career, her reputation, and possibly even every last cent she's got slip through her fingers. Let's take a second to appreciate the sheer disaster she brought upon herself the moment she thought she could take on Justin Baldoni and come out unscathed.
Of course, meeting for the first time in court today. It was about a 90-minute hearing.
Just 90 minutes in court. Not 90 days, not 90 hours, but a mere hour and a half was all it took for Justin to completely wreck her legal team. The moment the case started rolling, her entire defense crumbled like a cheap Hollywood set under bad lighting.
His agent is Ari Emanuel. He's a powerful Hollywood guy, and we all respond to Hollywood power. And there's a hypocrisy and a fraudulence there that the public is picking up on. And so that's really interesting now.
And get this wasn't even the final trial. Yet there they were, Blake and her so-called top-tier lawyers, stumbling, panicking, looking more lost than rookie interns on their first day at a powerhouse law firm? And how did we even get to this mess? Simple. Blake thought she could pull a Hollywood power move, thinking her A-list status would let her steamroll through the system. But the moment she stepped into that courtroom, reality hit her like a freight train. She was never ready for this fight.
I to blame him, and boy, did she open up a hornet's nest and learn, be careful what you wish for, because now you've got the fight you asked for, and you're not winning.
Blake Lively thought she was about to deliver the knockout punch, slapping Justin Baldoni with a massive $250 million lawsuit over harassment claims, probably assuming he'd crumble under the weight of it all. Maybe she thought he'd settle quietly, disappear, or just beg for a way out.
Justin does a better job, in my opinion, of providing receipts and showing full context.
Big mistake. Justin didn't just fight back. He flipped the script on her so hard, she never saw it coming. Instead of backing down, he hit her with a $400 million counter lawsuit, turning her calculated legal ambush into a full-blown nightmare. And just like that,
really sees this all the way through and makes sure we get to discovery and proves how disgusting some of these high-level celebrities can be.
her so-called airtight case fell apart. 1 second, she was on the attack, and the next, she was spiraling into pure panic mode. And let's not pretend she didn't think she had this in the bag. She had the New York Times backing her. She had Ryan Reynolds in her corner. She had the entire Hollywood elite behind her, acting like a safety net. But when it came down to cold, hard facts, none of that mattered. And speaking of brutal reality checks, the judge was not about to play along with Blake's Hollywood games. Every single motion her so-called powerhouse legal team filed? Denied. Overruled, tossed out without hesitation.
I would say another reason that the public didn't respond well to this was because we have already accurately deduced that the both of you are raging narcissists.
Imagine walking into court, expecting your A-list status to control the narrative, only to get shut down at every single turn. Not once, not twice. But every attempt Blake made to twist the legal system in her favor got thrown straight into the trash like yesterday's tabloids. And here's the real kicker. This isn't even trial yet. She's already drowning in legal losses, and if this pace keeps up, she might not even make it to March 2026 before her entire case collapses in flames.
Where sometimes people judge you before they give you a chance.
If Blake Lively's legal team thought they were walking into some polite courtroom back and forth, they were dead wrong. Because Friedman didn't just come to argue, he came to destroy. The second he stepped into that courtroom, the energy shifted. You could see it on Blake's lawyers' faces. Pure regret, like they'd rather be anywhere else but standing in front of that judge. First on the chopping block? That desperate gag order Blake tried to sneak in, hoping to muzzle Justin and his lawyer before they could expose her.
Chose to not impose the gag order on Justin Baldoni's attorney Brian Friedman today, but did threaten to move up the trial if the media pressed for it.
Because let's be real, the last thing Blake wants is the world hearing the actual truth. But guess what? The judge took one look at that weak attempt and shut it down instantly. Denied, rejected, thrown out. Which means Friedman now has full clearance to rip apart Blake's case in broad daylight for the entire world to see. No filters, no Hollywood protection, just cold, hard legal firepower.
Monday, they're going to court because two things. Blake is trying to gag them. I don't think that's going to go through. How can you try to say you're playing this in the press when the entire reason we got here was because you tried to play this in the press? Like, you went to the New York Times to try to take him down and to set up public...
And let's talk about just how bad Blake's legal team got steamrolled in that courtroom. They didn't just lose control of the case, they had zero responses, no counter-arguments, no defense, nothing. Just awkward silences, blank stares, and pure panic as Friedman tore through their case like it was some cheap, second-rate movie script. Every motion they filed, instant rejection. Not up for debate, not even worth considering, just flat-out dismissed. This wasn't just a legal setback. This wasn't even a bad day in court. This was a full-scale courtroom massacre, and Blake's team got absolutely obliterated before they even made it to trial.
Basically saying that she does not want to sit down for a deposition with Brian Friedman. Like, I know that this girl grew up rich and privileged, but how rich we talking? You know what I'm saying? Because does she think she's just like a princess that she can just be like, I don't like your...
But the biggest humiliation of them all? Blake had no choice but to face Friedman head-on in her deposition. No hiding, no special treatment, just her under oath, completely exposed. Did she really think she could cherry-pick some soft-spoken attorney to toss her gentle leading questions? Absolutely not.
I think she's like a princess that she can just be like, I don't like your lawyer and I don't want to sit down with him and answer questions and tell the truth. So she's trying to get out of having to sit down and be deposed by Brian Friedman. Like, sweetheart, that's not your...
The judge shut that down immediately, making it crystal clear. You don't get to choose who questions you. And that means Blake is now trapped, forced to sit there while Friedman tears through every single one of her lies, piece by piece, in real time. And speaking of lies, Blake Lively has been caught in some career-ending fabrications, and the contradictions in her story? Embarrassing. You want to talk hilarious? Just look at the massive holes in her own narrative. 1 minute, she's crying about how Justin made her feel uncomfortable.
Blake Lively's complaint of harassment. He called me sexy. I felt so uncomfortable. Why would you do that? Well, here's one point where she's calling him a ball buster. I'm just a ball buster.
The next, she's sending him gushing text messages about how much she loved working with him. Like, which is it, Blake? You can't claim someone made you uneasy and then turn around and flood their inbox with excited, appreciative messages about how amazing it was to collaborate with them. And now, let's talk receipts. Because Justin has them all. Every last one.
We just went through Justin's 179-page lawsuit, and I am shook.
This 179-page lawsuit isn't just a pile of legal jargon. It's packed with text messages, emails, and even video footage that completely obliterates Blake's entire story.
It does seem like by some of the texts that we've seen that they have a very friendly relationship at the beginning of this process. Clearly that started to fall apart as time went on.
The evidence isn't just damning, it's undeniable. And the deeper this case goes, the clearer it becomes that Blake may have just orchestrated her own downfall. And the best part? Some of these text messages don't just contradict Blake's claims, they expose her. Turns out, she wasn't just laughing along at the same off-color jokes she now claims made her uncomfortable, she was making them herself. Yep, you heard that right. The very thing she's weaponizing against Justin, she was right there, participating, acting like it was all fun and games until she suddenly decided to rewrite history. But here's where things go nuclear.
Now, but she did FAFO. Like, she thought she could blame all of her negative press on him. He's a weakling. She's Blake Lively with Ryan Reynolds, her dragon.
There's actual video footage that straight up proves Blake was lying. She thought she could spin a whole new reality, conveniently forgetting that cameras were rolling the entire time. Now, her credibility isn't just taking a hit. It's been completely incinerated. And the worst part? This isn't some behind-closed-doors courtroom drama. The entire world is about to see the truth unfold in real time.
Surrounded by friends because he's a very small, insecure man. And so what makes Ryan feel good about himself is money and power.
And let's not forget about Ryan Reynolds, who, at this point, looks like the biggest fool in Hollywood. This guy really thought he could play Hollywood kingmaker, putting his full support behind Blake's outrageous lawsuit, only to get blindsided by Justin's mountain of receipts. He wasn't just backing Blake, he was actively helping her push a false narrative. Maybe he thought his charm, that signature smirk, and a couple of Deadpool jokes would be enough to sway public opinion.
What's actually funny to him is not the sexual harassment. What's funny to him is that he found a tool to be able to stage a hostile takeover of a business. And they were high. They were totally high on their own supply of power. They were enjoying it. They were enjoying humiliating Justin Baldoni. Like I said, they got so close.
But newsflash, this isn't a movie. This is the real world, and facts actually matter. Now, instead of looking like the protective, doting husband, Ryan's being dragged into one of the biggest PR disasters Hollywood has ever seen. His reputation? Circling the drain and fast. And speaking of PR disasters, Blake Lively's entire reputation isn't just damaged, it's dead. Completely obliterated. Hollywood sweetheart? Gone. Feminist icon? Forget it. Instead of being celebrated, she's getting dragged by the entire internet, and the backlash is brutal.
It's part of being in the public eye. She's just used to being Hollywood's golden girl, and she had such thin skin that after having a couple negative things happen to her for a month, she had to blame him. She decided to blame him.
Meanwhile, our Team Justin is dominating social media, trending everywhere, while Blake's once loyal fan base is crumbling faster than her lawsuit. People are done buying her lies. Even the most devoted Blake supporters are waking up, realizing the ugly truth. She played the media, manipulated Hollywood, and tried to take down an innocent man just to boost her own power. But here's the reality. Blake can't run from this. There's no PR stunt, no crisis management team, nothing that can spin this courtroom nightmare into a redemption arc. She thought she could rely on her Hollywood status, her A-list connections, and her media backing to protect her. But Justin Baldoni just tore it all down. Every last piece. And let's be real. This isn't just some messy celebrity feud anymore. This is career-ending, bank account draining, reputation-destroying chaos, and Blake walked straight into it, fueled by her own arrogance. And now for the best part, Blake might not just lose, she might end up paying Justin instead. That's right! The woman who started this fight is now staring down a lawsuit so massive it could completely wipe her out. Let's crunch some numbers real quick, because math doesn't lie, but Blake sure does. Blake Lively's estimated net worth? $50 million. Ryan Reynolds, the walking PR machine with a Deadpool mask practically superglued to his face? $350 million. Justin Baldoni's counter lawsuit? $400 million. Let that sink in for a second. That's more than Blake and Ryan's entire combined fortune. If she loses this case, which at this point is practically guaranteed, this won't just be a little financial setback. She will be wiped out, gone, financially erased. Imagine spending years building a Hollywood empire only to throw it all away because you couldn't stop lying. And before she even thinks about settling and walking away quietly, that door just slammed shut. The judge just ruled that both lawsuits are now merged into one massive case. No escape hatch, no quick payout to make it disappear. Blake is locked into this legal nightmare until the bitter, brutal end. And let's be honest, that end is looking catastrophic. And now, let's talk Hollywood fallout. If Blake loses a $400 million defamation case, what studio in their right mind would ever risk hiring her again? Yes, Hollywood loves a scandal, but what they don't love, a proven liar who could cost them millions in lawsuits, bad press, and public backlash. Marvel. Warner Brothers ? Any major production company? They aren't about to tie their billion-dollar franchises to a walking PR disaster. And the fallout is already starting. Blake's credibility is crumbling, and soon, she won't just be losing in court, she'll be losing jobs. So, what does someone with zero credibility and no legal defense do when they're backed into a corner? They run straight to their PR team, hoping for some last-minute damage control. And what a disaster that turned out to be. Blake and Ryan must have thought they were being brilliant strategists when they decided to casually strut down the red carpet at SNL's 50th anniversary. Because, in their minds, what better way to handle a legal dumpster fire than by acting like nothing's wrong? Wrong! This wasn't confidence. This wasn't control. This was pure desperation disguised as a photo op. Instead of looking powerful and untouchable, they came off as completely oblivious, like two out-of-touch celebrities who can't read the room if their careers depended on it. And then, in a move so unbelievably tone-deaf, Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's self-proclaimed PR genius, decided to start cracking jokes about the lawsuit. Seriously? What kind of husband makes light of a case where his wife is supposedly the victim of harassment? You'd think he'd be furious, standing by her side, but instead, he treated the whole thing like a punchline. And the best part? The internet immediately turned on him. Fans saw right through the act, and the comment section on SNL's Instagram? An absolute bloodbath. People were not buying the distraction, and instead of scoring sympathy, Ryan and Blake just handed the world more reasons to call them frauds. Imagine thinking you're making a power move, only to end up humiliating yourself in front of millions. Ryan wanted this to be his big PR moment, the one that shifted the public's attention. But instead, it was the final nail in the coffin of their credibility. And then came Brian Friedman, the legal powerhouse who has practically made it his life's mission to obliterate Blake Lively in court, and he's not holding back. He didn't just tear into Blake, he roasted Ryan Reynolds in the media, calling out the obvious question everyone was already asking. What kind of man openly mocks his wife's supposed harassment case? Let's break this down. If Blake was telling the truth, wouldn't Ryan be furious? Wouldn't he be out there defending her, standing by her side, demanding justice? Instead, he was on national television, treating this high-stakes lawsuit like some comedy sketch. The whole thing reeks of desperation and damage control gone horribly wrong. Instead of making themselves look stronger, they ended up looking even guiltier, like two celebrities desperately trying to distract the public from the real story. And here's where it gets even worse. Hollywood is noticing. These A-list elites thought they were untouchable, that their status would shield them from public scrutiny, but now they're drowning in it. The entire industry is watching this train wreck unfold, and no one wants to be the next to go down with them. And then came the final dagger, the internet. Because once social media turns against you, it's over. Blake Lively isn't just losing in court, she's getting destroyed in the court of public opinion too. TikTok detectives, YouTube legal analysts, Twitter commentary threads, they've all turned Blake's case into their latest deep dive, and the wildest part? Some of these internet investigators have done more research than her own legal team. At this point, Blake isn't just fighting a lawsuit, she's fighting a digital battlefield, and she's losing. They're tearing her lawsuit apart, piece by piece, dissecting every contradiction, exposing every inconsistency, and guess what? It's bad, really bad. Leaked emails and text messages have completely obliterated the victim narrative she's been pushing. They prove she wasn't some helpless actress being mistreated on set. She was pulling the strings, calling the shots, and controlling the production from the inside. She wasn't just involved. She was the one making decisions at every turn. And here's the worst part. Blake's own words are betraying her. In interviews, behind-the-scenes clips, private messages, she contradicts herself over and over again. The evidence shows her being comfortable, collaborative, and even friendly with Justin. So how do you go from laughing, joking, and praising someone to accusing them of harassment overnight? The internet isn't buying it, and they're not letting it go. Cancel Blake Lively is trending. Her supporters are jumping ship, and she's losing control of the narrative faster than she lost in court. This is a complete and total collapse. Blake is getting dragged by the media, demolished in court, and roasted online, all at the same time. And as for Ryan Reynolds, his PR tactics, the charm, the humor, the damage control, all failing spectacularly. Blake wanted this fight, and now she's losing it on every possible front. And here's where things get even worse. This isn't just Blake's disaster anymore. Ryan's $350 million net worth isn't just sitting in some safe deposit box. It's tied up in massive business ventures like Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile, and Wrexham FC. You really think a $400 million courtroom loss won't shake his investors? Think again. The fallout from this lawsuit isn't just personal, it's financial. And if things keep spiraling at this rate, Blake's not the only one who's about to take a massive hit. And Blake? She's barely scraping by with a $50 million net worth. If she loses this lawsuit, they're both financially doomed. Not just a minor setback, but a complete collapse. And this isn't just about PR damage. This is career-ending territory. Because if there's one thing Hollywood hates more than a scandal, it's financial instability. Studios, investors, and executives don't like uncertainty. And right now, Ryan and Blake are drowning in it. And let's not forget how hard Ryan tried to blacklist Justin Baldoni. Justin, who was just minding his business, directing films, building his career, until Ryan and Blake weaponized their A-list connections against him, trying to destroy everything he had worked for. Oh, how the tables have turned. Because now, Ryan is the one whose career is in jeopardy. And Deadpool 3? That's supposed to be his golden ticket, his biggest blockbuster yet. But if public opinion turns on him, that release could be in serious trouble. We've seen it happen before. Just ask Johnny Depp, Armie Hammer, or Kevin Spacey. Public boycotts have ended entire careers. And let's be real. Disney isn't about to let a PR nightmare attach itself to one of their biggest Marvel films. If Ryan doesn't distance himself from this disaster fast, he could become collateral damage. And that raises the big question. Will Ryan Reynolds ditch Blake to save himself? Because he's not stupid. He knows exactly what's at stake. If Blake goes down and he stays attached to her, he's going down too. Hollywood is brutal, and self-preservation always comes first. And speaking of Hollywood's elite, they are running from Blake like she's radioactive. She probably thought her A-list friends would rally behind her, flooding social media with support, standing by her side through this legal firestorm. But instead, they've ghosted her completely. Scarlett Johansson? Silent. Taylor Swift? Nowhere to be found. Every major celebrity who once posed for pictures with Blake is now mysteriously missing. Not a single word of support, not a single statement, nothing. And let's not forget, Blake's own legal team tried to hint that other actresses might step forward to support her case. That's right. They implied that more women were about to come forward with allegations against Justin Baldoni, as if they had a whole army waiting in the wings. Guess what happened? Absolutely nothing. Not one actress has stepped up. Not one additional allegation. Zero. And that tells you everything. If Blake had real evidence, if her case had any actual merit, there would be waves of support. But instead, the silence is deafening. And it's not just Hollywood backing away. Major news outlets are pulling back too. The New York Times, which was more than happy to blast Blake's accusations all over the internet, is now backing away slowly. No follow-ups, no defensive articles, no doubling down on their support. Just fading into the background. And why? Because they know exactly where this is going. At this point, there's no coming back from this. Blake Lively isn't just losing in court, she's losing everything. If Blake loses this lawsuit, her entire life implodes. This isn't just a bad week in the headlines, this would wipe her out completely. She doesn't have that kind of money, and Ryan? He's not about to sacrifice his entire fortune to save her. Hollywood doesn't forgive losing a high-profile defamation case. Studios won't gamble on someone proven in court to be a liar. Directors? They're not going to want that baggage. No one's lining up to hire an actress with a reputation this toxic. And let's talk public disgrace. Blake spent years building an image. America's sweetheart, feminist icon, symbol of empowerment. But how does that hold up when she's exposed as the actress who tried to ruin a man's career with false claims? That's not something she can PR her way out of. And legal consequences? Let's not forget. This might not be the only lawsuit she has to deal with. Justin Baldoni could countersue again, this time for the financial and reputational damage she's caused him. And the best part, he has everything he needs to win. Text messages showing Blake was friendly with him, completely contradicting her own accusations. Video footage proving she was never the victim she claims to be. Court wins stacking up against her one after another. Justin is playing the long game, and he's winning every step of the way. Blake thought she could walk away victorious. Instead, she's looking at total annihilation. Her power in Hollywood? Gone. Her reputation? Shattered. Her career? Dead on arrival? Her bank account? Let's just say, she might want to start looking into budget-friendly options. And at this point, there's no way out. She has two choices. Finally admit the truth and try to salvage whatever's left of her career, or keep fighting until she goes down in flames, taking Ryan with her. Either way, this is the end of Blake Lively as we know her. And let's be real. This is just the beginning. If this much dirt is already out in the open, just imagine what's going to come out when this case actually goes to trial. Blake Lively isn't just losing this lawsuit, she's losing everything. This isn't just a court battle anymore. This is the absolute downfall of Blake Lively. And the best part? She did it to herself. Hit like, smash that subscribe button, and share this video so you don't miss a single update. Because trust me, this Hollywood disaster is only getting worse. See you in the next one.